Rikki Lambert joins me in the Flow Roseworthy Media Centre and from the Flow News 24 desk. Emotional speech yesterday in Parliament, Rikki, by Nicolle Flint. She is a South Australian Federal Member of Parliament, and in her speech she talked of what were significant opposing views to hers while she campaigned that were from the Labor Party Get Up and the Greens. I want to play that piece for you and I'll get you to comment on it.
Despite the bipartisan support for the review and the change, yesterday the Leader of the Opposition decided to crawl down into the gutter and make this about politics and turn this into an ugly political fight. Well, I say to the Leader of the Opposition, I will not be lectured by you. I will not be lectured by your side of politics about the treatment of women in this place. I asked the Leader of the Opposition, where was he and where was his predecessor and where were the senior Labor women when Get Up, Labor and the union supporters chased, harassed and screamed at me everywhere I went in the lead up to the 2019 election? Where were they when their supporters were abusing me time after time on Twitter and on my Facebook page? Where were they when I was stalked by a creepy old man who worked hand in hand with Get Up? Where were they when the same was done to my fellow candidate Georgina Dunner by a different but abusive, aggressive old man? Where were they when I was subjected to the horrendous sexist and misogynist abuse scrawled all over my campaign office?
So, Rikki, there's a really emotional piece that we've just heard. This is a federal politician who clearly has been, in her own life, disrupted. There's no doubt that the decision for her to quit politics is directly related to what happened in that campaign. How do you see this story?
Well, it's intriguing that this is the first public comment we've heard from Nicolle Flint since she announced that she was quitting politics, and it was rumoured at the time it was because of this behaviour towards her as a woman in politics. So then she's broken her silence here in Parliament because she's seen these women's marches in Canberra out the front of the very building she's working in, and I think she's decided, look, I can't keep my mouth shut any longer. This is a disgrace that it's becoming a political exercise for one side of politics when there's a clear hypocrisy, as she points out in that grab, that the Labor Party and women that support the Labor Party did not back her in because she's really from a different stripe of politics.
Yeah, in the sense of this, that Labor is saying with its Stand for Women and Anthony Albanese supporting these marches, that they stand for women, but in reality they stand for a certain type of woman, and the woman that Nicolle Flint is not a woman that they're standing for. And I think that's where Nicolle Flint is actually pointing out that if you really are standing for all women, then you can't pick and choose. And yet it seems that where Anthony Albanese is coming from, and certainly what Nicolle Flint in her speech there in Parliament very emotionally puts, is that she doesn't feel that where Labor are, that it is actually standing for all women. It's a hypocritical position that they're taking.
Yeah, the Labor Party's position is clearly that we support all women, asterisk. And the asterisk is the fine print, is so long as they are a progressive woman or a left-wing supporting woman or a strong feminist woman, if their stance is to support traditional women's roles in the community or just conservative politics or maybe a sceptical view on climate change, well, they don't support those types of women. And that's, I think, the problem that the Labor Party's got here, is they've rode on the back of these marches. And let's not forget, some of the organisers of these marches have spoken previously on their Twitter accounts that they want Labor to win the next election. So they're quite clearly political operatives who are trying to achieve a political outcome, just as we saw with the women's marches in the USA helped Joe Biden win the presidency. So it's disappointing that large swathes of the media are just swallowing up the whole commentary on these women's marches and not actually analysing who's behind them and what's the political objective.
And this then draws us to the next point, Rikki, about having another Liberal Party woman actually resigning from the Parliament. When we talk of the Labor Party asking for quotas and for 50% or even more than 50% representation, I've even read, and this becomes a real question that here's a woman that has stood for Parliament. She's well educated, a well-rounded, a very knowledgeable lady. She's saying that I cannot no longer sit in the Parliament in the current context because of the attacks on me when I stand as a Conservative politician. Have we now got a position where we've got the Labor Party saying we want more women, but there is going to be a lot fewer women who want to stand if they're going to be treated this way in public life?
Exactly what I was thinking, Wayne. What woman listening to what Nicolle Flint has explained, if there's someone who's inclined more to the centre or centre-right of politics, what woman in her right mind would put their hand up and say, I'm ready to cop everything that Nicolle Flint copped because I'm not standing for the Labor Party, I'm standing for the Liberal Party? It's just not going to work for a woman unless they've got a very thick hide. And I think these attacks, the more strength you show, like Nicolle Flint showed, the harder they come at you. I mean, she's talking about her electorate office being defaced with sexist and misogynistic slogans. You're going to crack under that eventually.
I think so, and a very interesting debate, one that we've heard in federal parliament with Nicolle Flint breaking her silence on how she was treated in the lead up to the 2019 election and why she is stepping down from politics. We'll follow this story through with Rikki Lambert further. You can get more details at flownews24.com.au.